Welcome to the frequency, fellows of truth. The seekers. I understand that I'm probably younger than a lot of people watching this, and I just want to make sure, or just try, I want to make sure this message is communicated and fully received. And I understand that this age thing is usually it can be a barrier to communication, because, I mean, in human years, yes, I'm 19, right? What can a 19-year-old know? Hate to break it to you, but we are millennia old. And your human years don't matter for shit. They don't matter for shit. Someone could learn more truth in one day than 99% of people have ever learned in their life, because they're living lies. So it's all relative, and also all this stuff is happening, so I just don't want age to be a barrier to this message. Part 3 of this message. Let's see. Guys, Satan, the evil force on this planet, the force working against your best interest, that is enslaving the minds of humanity, that force, I kind of like to see, I look at this as this thing, it operates in two functions. The first one is making sure you never go within and understand your emotional content, emotional intelligence, and making sure you never study your thoughts. They make sure that all of your philosophizing and all of your entire life is spent in this external world, so you never think about how you're feeling. Feeling is something you just can't control, and you use drugs and external things to control how you feel. They want to make all this stuff in like video games and TV and all this stuff to make sure that your mind is not thinking about, that your consciousness is not considering its own consciousness. Because when you can think about, why do I feel that way about this? When you can think about, where did all these thoughts come from? Then you can spot, you can see the control mechanism almost instantaneously. That control mechanism is, our thoughts are not our own. Our thoughts have been hijacked. That's not to say that what you're thinking right now isn't under your own control, because it is. But that is to say that most people have no idea that these images and frequencies and information is being injected into their etheric field and their in thought forms and taking over their minds. This is the control system. Think, I'm saying think now, but you need to use your mind. Consider the train of thoughts you had 2 days ago, or you had 1 hour ago. These useless train of thoughts that never result in anything. They don't add any value to your life. And in fact, they manipulate your physiology by affecting the endocrine system, because all of these thoughts you're having an emotional reaction to, because you have not started considering and observing how certain situations make you feel. This goes going back to studying yourself in the last video. So we can see that, like, I know I sound like I'm kind of like teaching or preaching, but I'm speaking to myself right now. Like, I'm probably going to watch these videos over and over and over. This is just a fresh download, like the first time I'm processing this information. And I want to make sure that it's solid in my mind and yours. And I feel the best way I can do that is communicating it as if I already, in the teacher presence, or you get what I mean. So, yeah, if this world is Satan, if the forces like that are working to keep you here, not in your best interest, all they have to do is make sure you don't go within. They have to make sure that you do not start living from a perspective that this life is a game. Not in a game that most people, or how most people interpret the word game. Look at Alan Watts on this stuff, but this life is a game. It is, we all know we're gonna die. We all know this. Most people receive this information and then they put it in the very back of their mind where it'll never come up. It is just surrounded by fear. Surrounded by fear. So if you never meditate on the fact that you're going to die and it could happen in 5 seconds. If you never meditate on this, you're gonna, then you're gonna live a life completely based on the wrong values and a clueless, absolutely oblivious existence to the truth and your true self. This is what they do. They make sure you never start living your life how it should be lived, being spiritual, infinite beings of light. We are luminous. And then they cast a spell. The spell of language, the English language. I've fully realized the impact of the human language with this last download. And wow. After the age of 6, most people cannot even think outside of words. Most people don't have an imagination or visualization or anything like this anymore because their only process going on in their mind is a little voice yammering in the back of their head, and that voice is actually just being fed information from negative entities outside of you. The English language is a spell. Because the English language is based on a system of judgment and taxonomy. Naming things falsely. A false system of naming. What does this do for your mind? Well, you see, when people can't think outside of this constant stream of words, right? They can never, if you cannot use your imagination, you will never be able to hold or know the truth. Period. You cannot. The truth of anything cannot be defined in language. It cannot be put into words. Words are is a very low form of communication. Super low. If I could translate what is in my mind right now to you, it'd be worth every book ever written. All of them. You couldn't do it with words. That's how profound these things are. I could literally make 500 videos on one topic, on literally one area in your energy field. I could look at a tree and make a whole bunch of videos about it's because these words, I'm trying to communicate the best I can, the most concise language, but words are the prison, the spell, the trap, the hex. They are the spell on your mind. Because if you can't consider who you are, which is always a feeling and images, and it's kind of like this abstract fluid thing, because you are water and luminous light. Light and water, hashtag DNA. Like, we are luminous beings, right? And we exist above this plane. This plane is our avatar. We exist above this plane. But if you cannot use your imagination and wield the power of your mind, you can never consider yourself to be anything more than a few words. The most basic definition. I'm a carpenter, an architect. Going beyond that, maybe do you have a paragraph? Do you have a book? So, to break the spell of the English language, first off, meditation, consciously realizing that this voice needs to be fucking tuned down. It has a purpose. It definitely has a purpose, especially for interacting and communicating at this realm. But that if that voice is not adding value to your life, if it is in fact terrorizing you, which it usually is, turn it off. Start thinking and feeling, not thinking in words. So, to turn this voice off and use our imagination to hold this abstract image of who we are and the truth in our minds, to be able to do this, basically the way I envision my higher self is not a single thing, or as we discussed, but it is almost like this huge board that is a collage of traits and qualities that I have found that resonate with me at a very deep level, that I've always kind of looked up to or adored since a child. And all of these things have come at various points in my life. You have this board, you have all the images for this board. You just got to build it in your mind real quick and realize that once you build the board, you got to burn the board. You got to burn the board. You got to burn that entire this collage of images. You just got to burn it and just remember the feeling and kind of this past memory of that. Because then you can start understanding the feeling and embodying the true divine self, which cannot be described, period, at this density. So that board for me would be kind of like Bruce Lee. I vibe with a lot of what Bruce Lee teaches, and I've always been very in tune with my body, how I'm feeling, and focus. People like Alan Watts, Leonardo da Vinci, Nikola Tesla. When I've learned about these people, I've always taken things that I really liked about people, and you realize that everything that you kind of see and like in someone else is you.